It's the KC Arts Beat Report. I'm Patrick Neeson. Thanks again for joining me today. Before we get into our special guest, I'd like to ask you to please like and subscribe to our YouTube channel, and please follow us on Facebook, where we post interesting information every day about the history of the arts, biographies of great composers and great artists, and information about this day in history. Today, we have a great man in music here in Kansas City, the Grammy Award winning Charles Bruffy, who conducts the Grammy Award winning Kansas City Chorale. They have a big benefit concert coming up that Charles is going to tell us about. Hello, Charles. It's always great to see you.
Well, Patrick, it is always so fun to be here and to be grooving along with the Kansas City Arts Beat.
Yes, I, I was trying to think of a handle, like telling people who follow us to calling them Casey Arts Beatniks. What do you think?
Right. Beatniks. I like beatniks.
Yes. So, if you're an arts beatnik, you've come to the right
Yeah, groovy, man.
place. Yeah, really, far out. So,
Right.
we're going to be going farther back in time than I guess the beatniks were in the 1950s. We're going
Yeah.
to the flapper era for your big benefit concert. Tell us about this.
Well, it's the 100th anniversary of the book, The Great Gatsby. And so that kind of was the germination of the planning for this program. We have chosen not what you might think of as Gatsby music, but all classical choral music from the 20s, which is the era of the Great Gatsby.
Uh-huh. Sure.
And it's, you know, every time we ever do a concert, I always think this is what we should specialize in. That this is we're really good at this. We should specialize in this kind of singing. But I'll kind of let the cat out of the bag just a little bit and start with the closing of the program. We're doing five German arrangements, and you might be thinking, what does that have to do with the Great Gatsby? But during the 20s, these were the songs that were sung in Germany during the 20s. And there's one there's one about a cactus that one of the neighbors has sitting on his balcony, and the cactus falls off and hits the lower neighbor on the head. And so the whole song is about those prickly cactus needles, and it's I can tell by your furrowed brow you're a little horrified by the comment.
No, it sounds intriguing.
That it is just for fun. And then we do another one that is about I wish I were a chicken because then I wouldn't I could just be stupid and never have to go to the office.
Boy, can't we all relate to that?
Yes, indeed. But you haven't lived until you have heard the Kansas City Chorale squawk like chickens.
Great. And none of you have bird flu either, do
No,
you?
no. And we're very hopeful, unfortunately, that we're not going to lay any eggs either.
No. Yes. Oh, the puns could go on and on.
They could.
I think the 20s are a really overlooked era in classical music. I mean, it's considered the jazz age, but you have these European composers who weren't they kind of looking to America for
Yeah,
inspiration?
and of course, lots of them moved here. We have Stravinsky who moved here, Poulenc moved here. Um,
And you're doing music by Stravinsky and Poulenc.
yes, we are. We're doing a drinking song, which is just really kooky, and it's in French, and it's for the men's chorus, and it goes really fast, and so they're just spitting that French out, and then at the very end, there's a big bass solo that is I've had too much to drink. I can't drink anymore. And so it's just very guttural kind of singing and is just what you would think it would be if somebody was trying to sing and they think, I've had too much to drink. I can't drink anymore. More.
This
So
is
that's really
right.
fun.
This
And
is
that's the Poulenc, yes.
Mhm.
Then we're doing the four saucer songs of Stravinsky. These, they call them saucer songs because back in the day, they would have tea leaves in their little teacups, and then they dump the tea out and turn the cup, they'd invert it on the saucer, which is why they're called saucer songs, because then it would leave images that, I mean, the tea would leave images on the saucers, and then they said that they would be able to foretell futures or tell stories
Well, that's where
subsequent.
reading the tea leaves comes from that, right? Yeah.
Right, right, right.
Uh-huh. Interesting.
Yeah, and there are four of those, and the words to those two are very interesting. And it's very Russian sounding, and I am so impressed, pleased, and proud of the Kansas City Chorale that they were so easily capable of the sounds and diction, tongue of all of that we are singing. So we're doing these Russian peasant folk songs, the saucer songs with just the women. Then the men are going to sing five songs on their own, and those are of a very extreme varietal. But probably the crown piece of the concert is the Vaughan Williams Mass in G minor. And it is just incredibly beautiful. And it's one of those pieces that, as you approach it, it everybody loves it immediately. And, from previous exposures to it, you come into it knowing how beautiful it is. But then when the instruments of the Kansas City Chorale join together and the beauty of it just becomes exponential and it becomes much more than you remember the piece to be. And in fact, it just seems much more much more beautiful than is possible. Just the subtle swellings of nuance and the little eyelash brushes of detail.
Yeah.
It's a blast to roll around in that.
Well, who doesn't love Vaughan Williams? I mean, the Fantasia on a theme of Thomas Tallis and the Lark Ascending, I could go on and on. Does this piece that you'll be doing have that pastoral quality I know not all of his music was pastoral, but I think some of the most popular music was pastoral.
Yes. And yes, it is. Though it has several sections of beyond pastoral, that are a lot more exciting and faster and brighter and
Uh-huh. Does
more
it
exciting.
does it sound
But
English?
yes, it does. And just the intonation on which it starts, it is so magnetic and The way those germs of melodies are handed off amongst the chorus, I should go ahead and say it's written for double chorus. So we'll be split in half and spaced. So there's that nice stereophonic reflections,
Mhm.
and it's the whole regular mass setting.
Mhm. Let's talk about the space where you're going to be performing this because it's an unusual venue, isn't it? Or it's rather newish venue, right?
Well, it certainly is new to us. We've not ever been there before. The building has quite an interesting history in that it was begun as a nunnery, I believe, and then they sold the rooms off as condominiums, and now it's become one of Kansas City's premier living spaces.
We're talking about the Loretto Academy, we should
Y-
say,
Yes,
on 39th.
yes. Yep, yep. And um,
Did you know that building was designed by the same person who designed the Basilica in St. Louis?
I did not, but
Yes.
have you've seen that, of course.
Yeah, 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 yeah. It's mind-blowing.
Yeah, we got to do a concert over there once.
Wow.
It was, we just walked in and the the acoustic of that building was so much more than what I had ever experienced. And I'd never been in there before, that people who tour, they rarely have been into, the halls to on the tour venues. But we started singing and the reverberation was so extreme that after the first song, I invited everybody to come up and sit in the very front so they could hear the sound the first time around.
What's the acoustic like there at the Loretto?
Well, it's a beautiful old chapel and it's sweet. It's not basilica reverberant, but it will be the kind of acoustic that this music will really shine in. And it's smaller. So it's it's going to be a very intimate environment for intimate music.
How many people does it hold? You have any idea?
I should know that,
But it's smallish, isn't
but
it?
it's small enough that you should go ahead and get your tickets now.
That's what I was getting to. That's what I was getting to. There's another interesting bit of history about that place. In the first decade of the 20th century, in 19 around 1910 or so, they had a Halloween party. Are you familiar with this?
No.
Yeah, the when it was still run by the Sisters of Loretto and it was an all-girls school, they had a Halloween party and a jack-o'-lantern caused a fire and four of the girls died in the fire. So, yes. So you might
Wow. Well, I
keep
don't
that
feel
in
so bad
mind.
about that cactus falling on the guy's head
Yes. I
now.
know, right. Yes. Oh boy. I know. Yes. So anyway, that's it's an incredible building, it's close to where I live, and even though I see it constantly, I never fail to marvel at its beauty and its symmetry and the way it just plopped down there in the middle of the Volker neighborhood is just a gem.
It really is. And, every time I go by it, I just feel like I'm at peace because you know, there is such green space surrounding it.
Uh-huh.
It just is a nice momentary calm.
Yes. And people can experience even more of a calm when they attend the Great Gatsby a benefit concert. By the way, I did want to ask you a little bit more about the Stravinsky because you and your group are very steeped in Russian choral music. This is pretty different than the kind of Russian choral music you've done, though, isn't it? The Stravinsky.
Right. Well, for starters, it's just for women, and there are four songs, and I don't want to call them bawdy, but mostly what we sing is Russian liturgical music, and these are just clearly folk songs about the pike that is belly is encrusted with gold, and the fins are braided with pearls, and instead of eyes, it has diamonds. Yeah.
Mhm. And aren't you also doing his Pater Noster?
We are. That's what's going to start the concert. But back to the
Oh,
saucer songs. Sorry, I got a little distracted there. Um, these pieces were originally written for unaccompanied voices, women. And then later, he came along and put a French horn quartet on top of them and beside them, too, I guess. And gosh, it doesn't seem like we've been doing it that long, but probably 20 years ago, we performed these pieces with four horns. This time, it's only going to be the unadulterated, pure vocal edition. We are also doing the Pater Noster, which is the Our Father who art in heaven text that everybody's familiar with. And the piece is staid and patient. And I think us starting the concert with that piece is the perfect setup to the ambiance that we want to create of um, peacefulness and subdued. Um, the, the Pater Noster is very chordal, meaning that all of the voices move at the same time and together. I guess maybe that's the same thing at the same time and together.
yes.
But the chordal structure is um, is inspired, I think. To me, I don't mean to sound like a lunatic, but the sound of chords describe different shapes, different moods. Um, some chords make you want to look out. Some chords make you want to look up, perhaps in reverence. And that it's that kind of wonder that I think is in the Pater Noster.
Well, it sounds like an absolutely wonderful way to start a concert that will give everyone a moment of peace at a time when we could all use a moment.
Oh, God, and the truth, I'm so sick of needing to say it again and again.
So, yeah, and it's a benefit for the Kansas City Chorale, which has provided the most incredible music for our city for decades now, has won a slew of awards, internationally recognized as one of the great choral ensembles. They deserve your support, whether or not they were doing this benefit concert or not. But here you get a wonderful concert and you get to support the great work that the Kansas City Chorale, Grammy winning Kansas City Chorale, led by Charles Bruffy, are doing. Now, this is Friday, March 7th, is that right?
That's right, at 7 o'clock.
And to get tickets, which you should get soon because tickets are limited, what do people do?
Right. If you go to kcchorale.org, you can order your tickets there. And of course, our followers already know that it's kcchorale.org. It's been a long time since it was the early days, but in the early days, I always had to spell it because everybody thought that we were in Kansas City. We were a chorale.
And you're not just an okay corral, you're a
We
really
are not
fine
an okay
corral.
chorale.
You're a
We're
very
an
fine corral.
extraordinary
Yeah.
chorale.
And also, there's going to be a post-concert reception, right, Charles?
Yes, people should come for the concert. But the really fun part is going to happen afterwards when we all go into the ballroom. And the age of that building, the ballroom is quite something to see. So we'll be in there having some snacks and some um, drinks. And another really cool thing is that Crow's Jewelry from Grandview is donating a 1 carat count pair of lab grown diamond earrings that are still worth $800. And we're going to give those away in the reception following. And we're going to enjoy some popcorn from Omar's Famous Popcorn. And I know it's popcorn, but it's really good. And then we'll be serving some beer and wine and listening to Bram Winans play his wonderful piano. And the fun part is his daughter happens to be in town and she recently won the Ella Fitzgerald Award.
Wow.
So she is smoking.
Wow. Well, and Bram, he plays that old-time stride and boogie woogie and ragtime piano. Perfect choice for a great Gatsby concert.
Yes, we asked him on purpose. So, friends, we'll hope to see you all there. I guess I can call you beatniks now that we've established that that's what we're going to be is beatniks.
Right. Absolutely. That's from now on. That's the what we're going to call our followers here at Casey Arts Beat. Thank you so much, Charles. And it sounds like a blast at the Loretto Academy. Hope people join you. Get your tickets at caseycorral.org.
Well,
Charles,
Patrick, it is always so fun to be with you, and we are so happy and proud that you are our friend and supporter. And I'm sure everyone who has ever had the experience of doing an interview with you or even listening to the podcasts or reading any of your articles, it is just such a delight to
well,
be able to share time with you.
you're wonderful, Charles, and the feeling is mutual, and I really appreciate everything you and the chorale do for the community. So keep it up, and best wishes on the Great Gatsby benefit concert. And thank you for joining me today here on the KC Arts Beat Report. Again, please like and subscribe.